Before we start this video, I wanted to ask you, if you haven't done it already, please subscribe. If you haven't, just click the subscribe below this video. That's all you have to do. It costs you absolutely nothing, zero. And you don't even have to watch the videos every single time they come out, but what it does do is help this channel grow and really helps me produce rad content for you. So go ahead, before we start the video, go ahead and click it. I'll wait right here, just go ahead and click it. Just gonna wait. For those that already have subscribed, thank you so much for being so rad and supporting this channel. If you just subscribe by clicking that, you're rad and thank you so much. Now let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to RADBMX Builds. On this episode, we are in Anaheim, California at the Race Inc. building, and we are going to be talking about Toby Henderson's 26-inch Race Inc. race bike that he's going to be debuting at the Frogtown Classic. You're going to see this video on Friday, and that's the first day, September 9th, of the Frogtown Classic in Angels Camp, California, where I will be filming some racing and some bike show content. But in this video, we're going to talk about how the new Race Inc. bikes incorporate some modern race technology, and that's going to be showcased in Toby's bike. We're going to take a look at that bike, and we're going to talk to Toby about some of the stuff he did and some of the stuff that you can do to yours. And basically what the concept is taking a new retro style frame and introducing brand new race technology to give you one of the best race type retro bikes. And this is bringing both of those platforms together into one very capable riding bicycle. So come with me, I'm excited to show you this, and I think you're going to be excited to see it. So let's go check it out.
Hi guys, I'm Toby Henderson at Box Components, Race Inc. or ABC, you might know us as. Sean's out here to look at my new bike I'm going to ride. I'm going to ride this at Frogtown next week, and really want to kind of highlight some of the things I did to the bike, and that was to make this bike more of a race bike. I know it's a retro bike, but we have a lot of stuff at Box to make it more of a technical and performance type bike. And we're all gonna go to Frogtown, have fun, but I did want to fix my bike up to give me a little bit of an edge, I think, especially after those fast, young, skinny guys I might have to race against. So
well, you don't want to go there to lose, do you?
I do not want to lose, but I want to survive.
That's
right.
So,
but I want to talk real quickly a little bit about what I did to the bike. And at Box, we have what we call oversized technology. For us, is the oversized handlebar, the front 20mm axle, 35mm spindle, and then a 20mm axle rear hub. So when I'm able to get on the bike and I'm able to push down and pull on my handlebar, I took a lot of flex out of the system. The front end's kind of meant for turning, but when I'm pulling and pushing here, this bike becomes literally twice as stiff. You're going from 10 to 20mm on the axles, and you're going from a 19mm spindle to a 35mm, so that's basically double on both of those. So in theory, it's twice as stiff. Anyway, this is the bike I'm going to race at Frogtown. It has box race oversized technology, and Sean rode the bike and he thinks it's great too. He can talk more about that later, but hey, I'm going to go race this thing. All right, so first I got the 35mm spindle bottom bracket. As you can see, this is a massive 35mm spindle. And at 35mm, you're allowed to use aluminum. And aluminum is going to be way lighter than the 19mm chromoly spindle. It's also a hollow 4-inch aluminum crank arm. I think these are a 180 in length. We make them from 180 all the way down to 170. But this massive spindle is a big part of the reason why this bike is going to be stiffer. When you come out of the gate with this and start to turn this whole housing into the bottom bracket with this massive bearings, is going to be way stiffer out of the gate. Get your elbow over the other guy and get there first, right? That's the whole point of the game. But 35mm spindle.
Who's getting your first elbow?
I don't want to say it because he's probably watching. I don't know. I want lane 8 so I can cut across on everybody. How's that? Let's go with that. Okay, so now I want to show you guys a 20mm front axle or front hub. So we put this on the bike. We got 20 on the front and on the rear of this bike. But if you can look at that massive 20mm axle, and obviously it takes a custom fork to do that, but that makes a huge difference in the way the bike's going to turn, handle. You know, when you go to turn on this thing versus a small axle, you can really feel that. I mean, there's a huge difference. And in BMX race right now, basically everybody above 13, 14 years old is running this, and we're starting to work on some stuff for the kids as well. It's coming down the road, but all pros run a 20mm front axle in BMX race. There's no reason why the retro guy shouldn't be doing it either.
So with these parts and components, you can take a retro bike and make it a modern race bike for the track in today's standards.
Yes, so what ABC has done, or Race Inc. has done, is we created this bike. It comes with a 20mm front and 20mm axle. There's adapters that reduce it down to 10, but you can take the bike out of the box and turn around and buy all the stuff from box and make that bike just like mine. That's a bike out of the box, and all I did was put the stuff on it.
So your standard axles that you find on typical old BMX bikes are 10mm, is that right? And then these new race technology is 20mm for stiffness.
Which is a massive thing. And a big part of that too is the interface. If you look how big this is versus how big the interface of a 10mm is, it's just obviously double, right? And then we put the bolt on the outside to collapse the whole fork against this part, and that makes the whole thing way stiffer than you would be if you're 10mm. So that interface with the through axle to the other side of the fork is where you're getting all your stiffness, right?
So it's bigger, stronger, and lighter.
And lighter. Okay. So lastly, I want to talk about the handlebars and the stem, which is a very important part of this. Like I said earlier, pull on the handlebar, push on the pedal, and try to get that stuff moving forward. So this is a 31.8mm stem. This one is down. We have several different ones at box. You can get them this way, different configurations, but this is a 31.8 by 1 1/8, and it takes a 31.8 handlebar here too. You can see it's tapered, right? This particular bar is aluminum. For the bigger guys, we suggest chromoly. But basically, this right here is going to make this bike way stiffer when you go to turn and pull on the handlebars and give you that power transfer to the ground. You can see it's on my bike right now. And this again, 35mm, 31.8 to 22.2 for the grip, and a 1 1/8 stem. Anyway, I still think this is probably as much as important as the other two, front hub and the rear hub and all that, but you need this to go faster. It's really that simple to me.
So by decreasing torque with the strength and rigidity of this product, that torque will then transfer to power is what you're looking for.
Right, so basically what I'm saying to you on all this part, when you go to pedal, you're trying to transfer all that power to the ground.
That's right.
And you'll lose some of that through the flex of the bike. Inherently, that's just you know, it's engineering, right, 101. But if we can reduce the flex, we can make the forward momentum quicker. And we all know this, right out of the gate, elbow to elbow, whoever gets their elbow over the next guy. And it's funny is when you go to ride the bike, it feels like it has a harder gear to pedal. And I always thought, oh, this feels like crap. But it's not a harder gear, it's the bike fighting back against your leg.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I just rode it, I felt like it was too tall of a gear.
Right.
And I thought, well, you're gonna have a hard time getting out of the gate, but in the straightaway you'll do really good. But it wasn't that, it was the rigidity that I was feeling.
Exactly. And when I first did this many years ago, I thought, oh, this is dumb, I don't like this. It feels slow, it felt slow. But what's happening is I'm actually moving forward, it's taking more strength, but I'm actually moving forward faster.
Right. So what is the gearing on this bike now?
Right now I set that as a 41-17,
okay,
which is how the bikes come. I don't know until I get to the track, and of course as racers we all change our gears at each track.
Sure. So
I set it up, because we did all the numbers when we built the bikes. So I set up with the way the bike came out of the box, 41-17. When I get there, I think I'm gonna probably have to go down a little bit because I'm getting old and fat, but I think I might have to go down on the front gear. So I have a 40, 39, and a 38 weighting. I have a 42 just in case.
Okay.
A little bit of a downhill track. But I'm gonna start off with exactly the way the bike came. When I get to the track, I'll do a couple laps and say, okay, I need to be here. Usually, back in my day, I could look down at the track and go, okay, I need this gear, and change it before I ever get on the track, just by looking at the track. I'll probably try a couple laps, then decide what gear to run.
So I noticed on this bike, you swapped out bars, stem, hubs, and the spindle crank set that you just talked about, but you also swapped out the seat.
Yeah, it's not really oversized technology, but on this bike, you got a carbon fiber post. It's adhered to this seat. We're the only ones in the world to do that. When they actually inject the seat, they inject it right on top of the carbon, and there's no pin or anything like that in here. It's actually injected and sticks to the carbon.
So it's one single unit.
One single unit. It weighs literally a few ounces. So why carry that seat around the track? Because if I'm sitting down, I'm losing. Right?
Right.
So I better be standing up and going. I don't need a seat.
All right. Okay, so there you have it. That was Toby explaining how modern race technology is incorporated into these retro racing bikes. And honestly, after I rode that bike, I can feel everything that he was talking about in that video. How much more rigid and the performance that bike gave once those parts were incorporated into it. These bikes do not come with parts of that caliber. They do come with good high-end parts that are great for everyday riding. However, incorporating these box components onto that racing bike changed it. It turned it into a full-blown modern race type bike. Now I totally understand why Race Inc. did what they did and made it so you can put on either 10mm hubs with an adapter or go straight 20mm race hub. Because once you've ridden a bike like that with those 20mm hubs, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're gonna have a really hard time going back. Now that I've ridden that bike, I'm absolutely gonna be building a Race Inc. bike with modern race technology. I wanna build a full custom Race Inc. race bike with a retro frame. So stay tuned, because that build is definitely in my future and I can't wait to build it and talk about that bike. But in this video, I want to thank Toby so much for the opportunity to come here today and talk about that and get that point across to you, my viewers. And you, my viewers, thanks so much for being here. It's important to me, and it's important that we discuss these things and answer the question of, why are the dropouts so big on these racing bikes? Now you know, because it just makes the performance that much better when you add oversized race technology to a racing bike. So lots of things happening, lots of very awesome parts coming out very soon. So make sure you stay tuned, and if you haven't, you subscribe to this channel, because this is just the beginning. We only scratched the surface with Race Inc. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below and I'll do my best to answer them. But you can go to Race Inc.'s website at radbmxc.com and check out their newest parts, components, and bikes. And we look forward to seeing you next time. And as always, stay rad.